Summer's on its way. The little crabs are out here munching away. These rocks are not common for the Outer Banks. They were put here and they grow seaweed. Crabs love that. There was another little one over here somewhere too. There. Yeah, so we've had a relatively mild spring. And so I think probably compared to last year, the crabs are came out a little bit later than normal, or well, maybe it was normal. Maybe they just the last couple of years haven't been normal. But either way, when you start seeing the crabbies, and we had a lot of fish in the water, small fish in the water lately, and people were catching trout, speckled trout. The speckled trout start moving down towards the ocean. My phone's was full, the memory was full forever, and so finally I cleared the memory out of my phone so I could make some more videos. But there's so many lessons in life, but just enjoying nature is right at the top of the list, you know. It does so much for us to get out and get some fresh air and some sunlight, and to just observe all the little forms of life that we share this planet with. It really helps. It helps us bring us into the present moment, and it sort of calms a lot of our modern human ideas about what life's about. Life's not a permanent thing, it's a temporary thing. And sometimes people kind of, I think, get pulled away from that basic notion, you know, that we're born into this world and then we leave this world, and we feel like maybe we got all the time, you know, that we want, and we don't. So it's sort of a trick of the mind, especially with the modern inventions. We do cram a lot more into our heads from all the media and everything that we have, in terms of, you know, just a broad generalization of the world. And some of those things, if they're done well, it's like with media, it's just like any other part of life. People who do it and make things with good intentions and a good, honest view of the world, and they try to share something of value, it does bring benefit. But the unfortunate thing is, probably more so than ever, but even from the early days of modern media, you know, like the radio and the movies and then television, unfortunately, I would have to say that a very high percentage, way more than 50%, probably a lot, I'd hate to say it, but probably like 80% or more maybe of media has been created more to prey upon our our human nature. In other words, you can the person who wants to focus their attention on tricking the mind with media, it's not something that humans evolved with, so it's fairly easy to do. It's the same. It's the same thing with other things, like food is also one. Once, you know, people learn how to process foods and get certain elements, particularly sugar being a big one, alcohol being another one, out of foods, we learned that those things and other things can be really sold to people, marketed to people, because it it triggers survival aspects of our mind, things in our mind that had value and still do in a natural setting, but they get taken advantage of with shortcuts, and then people make a lot of money from doing that. And so there's also, but don't be discouraged, because there's also a lot of value and opportunity in helping people, just like making good media, good, informative, and honest media, or disclaiming things, telling people that, hey, you don't have everything figured out. I mean, it's, this is the best information that we have. Whereas you will see a lot of times one good way to identify media and other things, food being another one, drugs. I don't just mean illicit drugs, but also pharmaceutical drugs and other things. When they kind of tell you it's a panacea. If anybody's telling you something's a panacea, there's an old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's just not the way the world is. There's not one thing that, is all true, that's without any mistakes. And there's no one thing that's all perfectly healthy for everybody in all proportions. Not even, you could say, clean drinking water would be about as, or clean air, and when I say clean air, I'm talking about a lot of things that in the modern world we have eventually got pushed to clean up, like a lot of pollutants and things like sulfur and other contaminants that we get from producing energy. Not so much the ones that they're focused on today, but things that still other countries, poor nations, are still suffering from. If you go to like a third world country, a lot of times the air will be very dirty because they don't clean the waste that they're producing from the energy generation. But that's all part of life. I mean, it's not to say that those things are part of how people society evolves, but you got to be aware of it. You got to be aware that things have side effects or byproducts. Everything does, good, bad, whatever. And the people aren't acknowledging the potential for those things and whatever it is that they're doing. It's a red flag that they're just trying to take advantage of you. And so nature, appreciating nature, is a good way to just kind of step back and say, here I am, this is the moment. And it can calm a lot of things, worries about the future, worries about the past, and kind of just let you know this is the moment. Life is made up of a series of moments, as best we understand it. I mean, there's some very wonderfully interesting things about consciousness, and that might be evident in spirituality and whatnot that we don't have an explanation for, or maybe that they're starts more touching on with like the quantum aspects of consciousness and the mind and those kinds of things. I think that's all wonderful. They start starting to see where a lot of these teachings of spirituality that humans have just sort of been aware of now is finding also an answer for the people who are more, it's just how humans are. Some people need more feeling and emotion and belief, and some people are more, they gotta have some explanation, because there's always another explanation behind an explanation behind an explanation. So it goes on and on. But I think one of the ones with spirituality is there's a lot of people struggle with it because in the modern world we try to have scientific explanations for everything, and the conscious and the spirit are one that's been very, very difficult to have a scientific explanation for. The spiritual and ancient teachings, a lot of which is embedded in appreciating nature and this kind of thing, and this idea that we're all part of one universe. That's why it's called a universe. It's this all one thing, and the ancient philosophers, that's what they recognized about it. But finally there's some people making some very well-respected physicists and whatnot, or have taken what for them was a very you could say precarious leap in their field, because they stepped outside of like the physics world that or whatnot that is considered to be respectable, so to speak, and they've really stuck their neck out to move into another field that of trying to understand and explain consciousness, which really can jeopardize. You'll have to understand that when you get a little bit older, but as a kid it doesn't, because you have a big imagination as a child, so things don't seem this way. But as you become an adult, you'll understand that society is sort of organized in this way of staying, they want to try to keep people within their boundaries, within the guide rail, so to speak. If you get outside of that, you might lose some of your colleagues' respect, unfortunately, but others you gain it. But anyhow, quantum physics and some quantum physics ideas are starting to are starting to merge with spirituality, and that's good, because it's a lot of people in the world that want to have some sort of explanation like that. So anyhow, just nature, and appreciating all of this and hearing the birds chirping. That's it's far more important than sometimes the rest of the things in the world want us to believe. They want us to believe that their things are the most important. Pay attention to them and what they're doing and buy their products and this and that. They're going to tell you that's the most important thing. But the benefits of being present and benefits of being in nature are just tremendous. I love you.